How in the heck are you? My name is Allen Weissman, welcoming you to the latest and greatest installment of In a Nutshell. We are most fortunate today to have with us in the In a Nutshell studio a fixture of the blues community for over 50 years in Chicago. In fact, when I went to Wikipedia, these blues drummers, they're not falling out of the trees. It's a very difficult commodity to find, and they said, and they only had 10 blues drummers listed in Wikipedia, which I thought was unusual, because if you look for like guitar players, they got like over, zillions of them. But it was so odd to see 10. Anyways, Merle Perkins has been recording and touring for years with the likes of Buddy Guy, Junior Wells, and just about every major blues performer for the last 50 years that you could think of. You were born and raised in Kansas City, is that correct?
Yes, Kansas City. I left there when I was 10 and moved to St. Louis, Missouri. And in St. Louis, Missouri in 1963, I really got into drums. In 62, I played in a drum corps. So drum corps is kind of like my background.
It's an interesting thing, because I saw that you were in the Spirit of St. Louis Drum and Bugle Corps.
Right.
So my question is, how did you wind up with drum instead of bugle?
Drums is, I always liked drums. When my mother used to take me to parades, when I was little, she said when the drums came by, I would start stomping my feet real a whole lot. But when I moved to, I was always in the drum corps, because I was in, the first drum corps I was in was a church drum corps, a small drum corps called Pleasant Green.
Okay, is that in St.
Louis? In St. Louis, Missouri. Right. And then I saw the Spirit of St. Louis, and I said, man, I want to be in that drum corps. But at the time, back in the day, we had the process. Okay. But, being in drum corps is kind of like military. So when I went to the Spirit of St. Louis rehearsal and told them I wanted to join the drum corps, they said, we got to cut the hair off. And so I did. I cut it off, all off. And then I came back, and they said, well, this man, he's serious about playing.
He's serious. When he cuts his hair off, he's serious.
And back then, drum corps was kind of different today. When I was in it, was more military VFW. Now it's kind of like, costume. They wear costumes, they're uniforms, and they're doing a kind of Broadway show-like, and a lot of singing, and which I don't care for. I like the old traditional drum corps.
So all the guys from the drum and bugle corps that were in the drum faction grew up to be drummers, and on the other side they grew up to be brass guys?
Some of the guys, like one of the guys on David Letterman played in the cadets of Bergen County drum corps, and he's at the competition. Also, there's a few drummers that are my favorite drummers that played in drum corps, with like Steve Gadd, played in the Rochester Crusaders. My idol drummer, Billy Cobham, played in the New York Skyliners.
Really?
And he also
taught the drum and bugle corps.
He's from drum and bugle corps. Also, Cindy Blackman, married to Carlos Santana.
Okay.
She played in drum corps. So I started reading here, and I said, okay. And then Gray Bissonette played in drum corps.
Wow, that is something. That is really something. Now, did you play any blues in the drum corps?
No, drum corps didn't play blues. No, they didn't play blues.
Well, the drum corps nowadays, they play a little bit of everything.
Actually, today they mostly playing like movie scores, stuff, music they hear in the movies.
Right.
They do all that. I mean, they're doing a lot of different stuff. Today they have more, back when I was in drum corps, you would get ticket was more, you had to be clean shaven, feet at 40 degree angle. You had a general that come by and inspect everybody in the drum corps in a straight line. And if he found any flaws on you, we weren't going to be marching into the competition.
I see.
But it's not like that today.
No, it's a little more relaxed, I would think.
Yeah, it's like they're doing everything today.
So now, I understand that in your early 20s, late 20s or early 30s, you moved to Chicago?
I moved to Chicago, when I was 20 years old.
20?
No, I was 19 when I moved here. 19 when I moved here. A friend of mine's influenced me to come to Chicago, and I came here in 1964.
Okay.
Okay, and he tried to get here me come before, and he left me. He thought I wasn't coming, and then he came back. And then he didn't think I was going to come again, so back then on a Greyhound bus, it cost like $7 to get your bus from St. Louis to Chicago.
$7 and a sword behind.
$7, man. So like, my mother gave me $20.
All right.
And I caught the bus here. When I got here, I'm on 35th Street, State Street, and I had the wrong address.
Oh no.
And so it was lucky that I got a friend of mine's, friend of mine's that had a girlfriend, and I got his address, and he stayed here. So I had to ask a guy, man, you know where this address? He said, usually people don't help you in Chicago, man. Like, but he took me to my friend, and I found my friend and his sister, and then they took me to the house, and I had to live off of that $20
until you got
you know. When that $20 ran out, I called my mother and told her I ain't had no more money, and she said, son, you on your own now. You got to learn how to make a living on your own.
Well, now I understand that one of your first early gigs in Chicago was with Buddy Guy. Is that true?
No, actually, my first gig was with Freddie King.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Freddie King. I always said I was Buddy Guy. I played for, but I forgot I played with Freddie King in 1971.
Okay. All right.
So that was my first gig with the late Freddie King. Actually, I filled in for another his drummer because his drummer was sick. And you know, we toured like in Ohio or Pittsburgh. We opened the show for Leon Russell back then.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. So then when I got back to Chicago, you know, they had a checkerboard on 43rd Street. So I would go there and sit in, and then Buddy was peeking around the corner at me when I was playing, and then he came and he said, you playing with anybody? I said, no. He said, you want to play with me? I said, of course.
That's
so
cool.
That was my first gig playing with Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, 1977, 1978.
So you actually were part of his orchestra?
I was part of the band.
Part of the band.
And back in 1980, I recorded a album with Buddy Guy downtown on JSP labels. That album, he played fuzz on that whole album, and it had the late Phil Guy on it. It had a Doug McDonald. It had a guy named Gene Pickett on keyboard, and had the late Nick Charles on bass that had passed away. He's playing bass on there. So I'm on that whole album, but something happened with Buddy Guy and GPS, they fell out. So like if you go down to his club, you know, that album's not even in there.
Wow.
You know.
Now when you were working with Buddy Guy, were you making enough money to get along on?
Yeah, you know, it was back then, you know, like when I was with him, you know, he played like $300 a week.
Oh,
that's what he paid, you know, and then we had to get a room, share a room together with another band member with that money.
Okay.
You know, but back in that days, you know, gas was like 27 cents a gallon.
I know, it was dirt cheap.
It was cost of living, it was good. So like you made $300 a week, man, that was good.
That's right, that's right.
You know, but then after I left Buddy and Junior, I went with Albert King in 1980.
You got some good memories there.
Right, and I went on tour. I knew Albert King when I was 15, lived in St. Louis. I used to shoot pool with him when I was 15 years old. And then I heard he was in Chicago and he was looking for a drummer. And so I went and to the rehearsal, and I told him, I said, man, I used to shoot pool. He said, oh yeah, I remember you. And we rehearsed. And we went down, our first gig was at Tipitina's in New Orleans. And you know, I know he had a song about couldn't read or write. I didn't know that's true about him, that he couldn't read or write, until we was on a street called Napoleon. And he called it something else, and I said, Albert, man, you know that's not that street is not that name. That's Napoleon Street. And then one of the guys said, whispered to me, he said, man, you can't read or write.
Oh, wow.
You know, so that was true about him. You know, and I love the way he played. I always wanted to play with him. Every time I played with him, he sent chills, bumps to me.
I bet.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player. But he was very mean to. I didn't know him like that, but the guys were scared of him. And we played in Memphis after we left New Orleans, and he was playing $300 a week. Then you had to get a room share with one of the other guys with that money, and then I kind of find out he take out income tax out of that money in the bus, that double-deck bus. So I go on a bus, he take $166 out of $300.
Are you kidding me?
I said, I never heard of this. I said, $600. I said, man, I can't be out here on the road like that. But I said, how am I going to live with $300 and you take $166? So actually, I had got the gig offered with Lonnie Brooks, but I took it with Albert King because I really wanted to play with him. But then after that, I played that last gig. A bass player, he called the devil because he was the leader of the band. I told him, I said, man, I can't hang, you know. And he wouldn't take me back to Chicago, so my mother had to drive all the way.
Oh my goodness.
And a guitar player that was playing with him was Dion Payton. So Dion Payton quit too. So mother came down to Memphis, drove us all the way back to Chicago, and I hooked up with Lonnie Brooks.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then I played with Lonnie Brooks for 2 years, and I did an album with him on Alligator Records called Turn on the Night. And
when that was in the mid-'80s?
81, we recorded that in 81. I think we recorded that in 81, but I was with Lonnie Brooks for 2 years. And then after leaving Lonnie Brooks, I went with James Cotton. Because Michael Cohen was my friend. He hooked me up with that gig.
You got one good gig after another, except you know, some of them seemed like they were better than they turned out.
Well, James Cotton played better than the rest of the band. When Lonnie Brooks played all right, you had to do income tax and stuff like that, you know. And Lonnie Brooks was, out of all the bands I ever played with, he was one of the nicest guys that he didn't even act like a band leader. He acted like one of the guys in the band.
Nice.
And he always smiled. He always seen a smile on his face. Every time you see Lonnie Brooks, he was always smiling.
How nice.
And he was very nice, and his family, they were like my family, because like when we used to rehearsal, Ronnie Baker Brooks and Wayne Baker Brooks used to come and watch us rehearsal. I never thought that those guys would turn out to be bad guitar players like they are today. Those guys are phenomenal.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Cool, very cool. But then I understand that after all that, in 1990 you started your own band?
1990 I started Merle Perkins and the Percolators. And a friend of mine influenced me. He said, man, you know, you didn't play with everybody on the Sun. He said, won't you do your own band? So, the bass player influenced me since my name was Merle Perkins. He said, why don't you call yourself Merle Perkins Percolator? So I called the band Merle Perkins and the Percolators.
That's a good name.
Right. And then that tune called Percolating on my CD, we used to have a percolator on stage. And then also I had shirts made up with a percolator on the front where my name was steaming up out of it and had Chicago on the back of it. And then I put a coffee pot on stage with an incense, and we would open with that percolator and light that incense in, so that incense would be percolator would be percolating.
Very
you know,
cool,
we opened up with that show, and it's got that percolator's got that it's got that in there.
Okay.
You know.
Did the Percolators do any touring?
Yeah, man, I toured all over Canada. Like actually, when I got Pistol Pete in my band, that's how he got known by being in. We played. I mean, I played all over Canada. I played everywhere with my band. You know, because I had a girlfriend that worked for Allied Van Company, and she could call when I was on the road performing. She could call 800. She could call all over the United States because she worked for Allied Van Company. Okay. They all over the United States. So all the clubs she would call when I come back from my tour. I had more gigs.
That's a pretty nice little asset you got.
Right. So, but eventually we kind of broke up, and then I started doing my own booking, and you know, and being a band leader, especially a drummer. And when people they know you, you get guys in the band that's kind of hard headed, you know, and stuff. And I did it for about 7 years, and then I did it 7 years, and like, say if you got somebody in the band and they get a gig for more money and they leave you got to find another guitar player, and you can't do your songs that you were doing, you had to have backup material.
Sure.
So in 1997, I did my last gig at the Slight Chicago in Palatine.
Really?
Yeah. And also they did a gig he had another club, I think it was called North Star.
This is the last gig for your band, you mean?
Uh-huh.
For the band, the Percolators.
Yeah, the last gig, and the guitar player that played on Buddy Guy's album was Doug McDonald.
Yeah.
He was supposed to play with me. He had his own band called Doug McDonald Blueberry Band. He called me on the last day that I was going to do my gig and say, man, I ain't going to be able to make it.
Oh.
And I said, man, and so I was able to do my last gig. I got George Bates. George Bates used to do the jam, you know, and he eventually passed away, you know, because he was in the Marines and he passed away from that Orange.
Agent Orange, yeah.
Agent Orange, man. So he did the last gig with me, and I got out of the business without messing anybody up. So that was my last gig, 1997. I let the Percolators go. I said, I'm going back to being a side man.
Well, I like the idea that you didn't mess anybody up. That's nice.
Right. I didn't mess any good. I made all my gigs, and so somebody said, if you don't want to put your band back together, man, you know, you didn't mess nobody up.
At any time during your career, did you play any other genres other than blues? Did you play any rock, country, jazz?
I played with Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly was the original of the Shadows of Night. He's the one that did Gloria.
Yeah.
Joe Kelly played on a rock style. He played blues, but he played on a rock style of music. I played with him in the 80s.
Okay.
And, you know, he eventually died too. Like everybody I play with seemed like they died.
Uh-oh.
And back in 1978, actually I forgot I played with...
Am I in danger here? I might be becoming an endangered species.
I played with a band called Riff Raff.
Yeah, I've heard
Now,
of
Riff Raff was a very popular disco band. I got a picture of that. We went in the studio. We were supposed to do an album, but we used to play the Gala North, Gala South, the Nickel Bag, the Rusty Nail. We played all the suburb places and we wore tuxedos, you know, and we had the singer, it was two twin guys, three singers up front. James Hamilton was the front lead singer and the two twin guys, and they had such a beautiful harmony. We had a couple of horns and a keyboard. And me and him was the only black guys in the band. It was in 1978, you know, but the manager, they auditioned me. The manager didn't want me in the band because he didn't want another black person in the band. But the band said, well, we want Merle in the band. You know, so that's guy got in the band in 1978, you know. And then actually in 79, I did a gig, went out with a band in Amarillo, Texas for a while and played out that way. And, you know, played Lubbock, Texas, a lot of little towns in Texas, and Dodge City, Kansas. You know, with the band Zora Young was in the band. It was called, what was it called, something about Express Band, the Graham Express Band, that was the name of it. And Zora was in the band singing with us. And so that's when after I quit him, and that's when I went with Albert King, and then after Albert King, I went with after Blondie Brooks in 81, 82, 83, I went with James Cotton. '84, Michael Coleman. '84, I played with Magic Slim and the Teardrops.
Sounds like the history of blues in the United States.
Yeah, Magic Slim and the Teardrops. I played with Magic Slim, and we did a Coors beer commercial. When they first brought Coors beer to Chicago, we were in that first commercial.
Wow.
I don't know if you ever saw that.
I do remember when they brought Coors to Chicago, but I don't know if I saw the first
We did
commercial.
it at Blues on Halstead.
Yeah.
Had John Primer in the band, Nick Hope, which Magic Slim and Nick Hope died. So we did that commercial there, and it's on my DVD by Coors Beer, and
Sure. Now, have you done any session work?
yeah, everything I did is session. I recorded with Eddie Shaw, 1981. It's called Chicago Blues Giant. It had Eddie Clean and Vincent on it. It's called Moving and Grooving Man. We recorded that in Paris, France in 1981.
Okay.
It was on Isabel Labels. I think it's on a different label, but I think it's on Isabel Labels. I recorded that with him. I recorded with Buddy Guy. I recorded with, I recorded so many people, I can't even remember all.
What do you prefer session work, or do you prefer a band performing in public?
I prefer playing in public, playing for people, in front of people. I played as many as when I played with Buddy Guy, Junior Wells, and Canada. I think we was in Quebec, Canada. We played for 45,000 people. And then...
That's a nice crowd.
Right. And then, like in 88, 89, I played with Michael Coleman, the late Michael Coleman. I recorded a CD with him on Delmar Records called Do Your Thing. I did that CD in 2000. Then in 1989, I played with Son Shields. Went on tour with him in Turkey. And
your memory is blowing my mind, I'll tell you. The fact that you can go back in time and remember who you played with at all these different periods is incredible.
And kind of what made me kind of quit Son Shields is because he wouldn't pay you when you do the gig. He'd pay you when the tour was over with.
Oh, how the hell are you supposed to live on it without any money coming in?
You had to bring your money with you. And you get paid, and then I didn't really like his girlfriend the way she had a real bad attitude. I think she's the one that he got shot. That woman named Frankie shot in the face. Her name was Ann. She recorded all the shows with her, and I seen her in Washington, D.C., and I asked her would she send over the recording because I wanted to put them on, with all my other videos of people I played with. But she never sent me those copies of the video of me playing with Son Shields. Then 1999, I got with Eddie Clearwater, and I went back to Turkey again, second time. I played with Eddie Clearwater for 11 years. Out of 11 years I played with him, I never recorded nothing with him. None of the band recorded anything with him. He would always get a band that was already established. Like the first CD he did, 3 CDs while I was in the band, he used Duke Overlaw band, already established band. Then the second CD he did, he used, I think, the Low Straight Jackets, and he won an award off of that, and then he was touring with them. And no, he did Reservation Blues. I think Duke Overlaw. Then the last CD he did, he did it with Ronnie Baker Brooks. And then they did a copy of it in his basement, and then he took the Bruce Sealock, so he put it on Alligator Records. And then later on I heard that I'm the one that got Shoji Naito in the band. And then Shoji Naito played bass and harmonica. And then he did a CD, he don't sing, but he had Milwaukee Slim, Willie Buck, Eddie Clearwater, all the singers on there, and he played art. And then I seen on his site where he got an award from Blast Magazine, and I said, how he get a, how he get an award? He don't even sing, and that award is different from the Chicago Blues Hall of Fame.
Yeah, sure.
It's like a picture, but it's like in a glass,
Let me ask you something. When you appeared in front of an audience of 45,000, you said, was that the biggest audience you've ever appeared before?
No. The biggest audience I ever appeared is with Eddie Clearwater. It was a big, huge stadium. Like it was like a mountain in the back, and it went way down, and the audience, I don't know how many people that.
Where was this?
It was in some town in France. I can't even remember. I mean, I played so many. I played so many towns like Paris, France, the big cities, and I played many towns in France. I can't even name them. Played many towns and been to Zaragoza in Spain, Madrid, all the little towns. I played with Shirley Johnson.
Well, with all that experience, without playing in front of huge audiences like that, would you say that was the high point of your career?
No, to me, like a lot of drummers today got jobs and stuff. I've been fortunate to make a living playing music.
Sure.
And I was always serious about my drums. I always played a big set, and always do drum solos. That's my thing. I like to do, drum solos. And I play. My solos are not like somebody say play a blues solo. There's no such thing as a blues solo. If you're doing playing a blues band, you got to take the solo a different direction. And I'm able to do that. But I played I'm not a real heavy jazz drummer, but I have played with some jazz people that play some little swing, bebop.
So are you saying that playing a nice blues solo, a nice drum solo rather, is about the high point of your career?
I think a high point of my career is everybody I didn't play with. That's a high point
Your
of
whole
my
career is a high point.
Yeah. I think I'm the last.
Like you've been pretty lucky, yeah.
I'm the last of the legendary drummers that has played with more than any blues artist, even if they're a guitar player, a bass player, harmonica player. I play with more than anybody. I'm the last of the legendary blues drummers.
That's pretty amazing. Now you were admitted to the Blues Hall of Fame on 2 separate occasions. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
When was the first one, and what was it for?
The first one I did, actually, this girl that does photography work, her name is Lynn. Now, she's real good friends with Eddie Clearwater. Now, she seen, when I quit Eddie Clearwater after 10 years, cause she decided to act real funny with me, and like she didn't have time for me. And she works with Chicago Blues Hall of Fame. And I used to send her stuff on her page, and she would look at it, but then when I go back to it, it was gone. She had an opportunity to tell the late Michael Packer about me. So what I did, I went up, took the initiative, and went to Chicago Blues Hall of Fame, and I started sending her a message about she didn't have a reason to treat me like that. And so Michael Packer came in while I was typing, and he said, "This is not her site," because he said, I own his site. And then I started telling him about the people I play with. I play with Honey Boy Edwards. He had a picture of playing with Honey Boy Edwards. And so I started telling him, he said, "Well, nobody never told me about you." He said, "I can induct you in the Hall of Fame next year." I said, "Well, okay." Then he sent me a message back and said, "Can you be down here October the 4th?
When was this? What year was this?
2015.
Okay.
I said, "You mean next year?" He said, "No, I mean this year." He said, "I got you on an award from you. Your name is not on the list, but he said, I got it for you."
Cool.
So I went down there, and
so that's 2 years ago was your first induction to the Blues Hall of Fame.
Blues Hall of Fame. No, but I got another award in 2002 from Edmonton, Canada, from Charles Taylor, which is kin of Coco Taylor, okay. Sammy Fender. I don't know if you heard
Edmonton, Canada?
Yeah, this was in Edmonton, Canada. They gave me an award. It's called Real Blues Band Award. That's the first one I got.
Now you're talking.
2002. And then the second one is I got from Michael Packer. Now, the one I just got October 15,
Of this year,
Yeah, this year.
2017.
is a legendary award.
I'd say you definitely merited that.
Right, and I've been calling myself a legendary anyway, and then the guys that does my CD say, well, why they call you legendary? Because of your legacy. You know, so well, my friend that teased me that I'm going to the Philippines said, man, everybody that you play with, don't tell them you're legendary. It's kind of running in the ground, you know, saying something like that. And then, so when I got mine, I said, man, now you can call me, I'm a real legendary drummer now, man. You know?
Let me ask you something. Do you think, what differences are there in the Chicago blues scene between the 1970s and 2017?
Back in the 70s, you know, I did a website, a Greece website, an interview on that. Back in the 70s, man, you could play all over Chicago. I played off on the west side, the south side. I mean, they didn't have too much blues on the north side. It was all south side, west side. You could play, I played like 7 nights a week. And you made $40 or $50. But back in 1970, that was a lot of money. Because, you know, I had a deuce and a quarter. I always had big cars, you know, Cadillac, Mark IV. So you can fill your gas tank over $5, man. You know, back in that time. And it was so many clubs to play. Like, I mean, they on Halstead, they had Bonanza, all up and down 63rd. I played Piano Red right there on Cottage Grove on 63rd. Nolan Strutt, King Elwood. I don't know if you know those guys. Nolan Strutt. I mean, and then I think when it really changed is I went out on the road with Chick Willis for 3 months down in South when he had a song called Stoop Down Baby, Let Your Daddy See. They had a gas shortage, I think in 79. That's when everything changed in Chicago. All the clubs started closing, a lot of places, business started closing up.
Folding up.
And then all the clubs are folded up, man. There wasn't hardly no place to play. The only place that was still having the blues on the south side was that place on South Chicago. I think it's called the Queenies. Heather, can you remember that song? There's this club they closed it down though, but that was the only blues club on the south side. And then they had Roses, you know, still around. And then they had, Wise Fools.
That was kind of near north.
Huh?
Near north.
Wise Fools was on Lincoln Avenue for a long time.
Sure.
I used to play there with Eddie Clearwater, my band, Merle Perkins and the Percolators. But it's hard to know no blues club is on Roses, Blue Chicago, Buddy Guys, and you know that's kind of it, man. They used to have even blues clubs in the suburbs. When I played with Big Twist and the Mellow Fellows.
I was going to ask you about Big Twist and the Mellow Fellows.
Big Twist, I tell you, that was one of the favorite bands.
I was going to ask you, is there a takeaway, something that you learned or that you kind of like improved your drumming or your blues appreciation while you were with Big Twist?
With Big Twist and the Mellow Fellows because I was basically playing blues. Actually, what changed me when I played with Riff Raff. Riff Raff was an R&B band. We played Kansas, you know, Carry On Our Way. It took me 3 hours to learn that song. Because it sounded like three or four songs to me.
Sure.
I was so used to playing blues. But I learned a lot of knowledge from playing with Riff Raff. Because we did like Michael Jackson, we did Temptations, the Commodores, Heat Wave, Taste of Honey.
A lot of R&B.
A lot of disco bands.
And disco, yeah.
Disco. I learned a lot.
Everything was disco at that time.
I learned a lot of stuff from them. And then when I got with Big Twist and the Mellow Fellows, they did blues, but it was when the first time I seen them, man, it just like blew me away. At Betty Mulligan's, man, those cats were. I said, man, where did these cats come from? So I did an audition, and they picked me. So I was playing with James Cotton at the amphitheater.
Okay.
His nephew which is Tango. Tango passed away. He was watching me on the side. You know, James Cotton, he played like real fast boogie blues, and the shovels were real fast. So his bass player was watching me. He said, "Man, look how fast that cat playing that shovel." You know? And them shovels were really fast. James Cotton played boogie blues. So that's when I wanted to play with Big Twist and the Mellophones, so I got with them, I auditioned, and they picked me. I learned a lot of stuff, all this stuff was arranged. You know, and I like playing music that's arranged music, and that it feels good.
Sure.
I feel good because it's almost like being in drum corps. I like playing with a band with horns, because I'm used to playing a drum corps, you know, they got like 70, 80 horns.
Sure, sure.
And the drum corps that I played in, the Spirit of St. Louis, it was 54 of us. We had like 50 horns.
Let me ask you something now. What would you say is the best piece of advice you ever received from another blues guy?
Julie Wells told me when I had my own band, I used to do my own booking. And he told me, he said, "Man, you need somebody else, like an agent, somebody to book your band, because like when you're doing it yourself, they're gonna try to drew you down as much as they can." That was the best advice that I had. That came from Julie Wells.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah,
Pretty smart advice.
Yeah.
It's always better to have a representative do it.
Right, somebody else doing the business for you, you don't do it yourself.
And now, do you have any advice? What advice would you give to young aspiring musicians who are thinking of pursuing a career in the blues?
One second. Let's hold on for just one more second.
I'm gonna switch the mic again.
Okay.
Yeah, plug-ins are okay too if you need to,
Yeah.
if that's going to make it easier.
Yeah, you know what, let me just bring this one around. Make life a little easier.
Yeah, because I'm a little
Is
worried
that
about
thing-
the audio on
that-
this.
What happens when they start going low on the battery, they start making weird
Oh,
noises,
okay.
the pop cutting in and out and everything else. I'm not a big fan of cordless, that's why I just use it.
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
I would never use them live.
I'm really in.
You're killing me, by the way, with your stories about Riff Raff. I remember you guys. I used to
He
play
played
Stagger.
with you at Nickelback.
We played the same
Nickelback.
circuits. We played the Gale of North, we played Nickelback, we played the Kuklas, we played the Sundowner.
Kuklas,
we played
Gale
all
and
those
North
wonderful
and
places.
Bill String. Oh, wow, we used to bowl there, my sister and I. It was a bowling alley.
And I remember Riff Raff, I remember the Lafayette brothers. Those were the twins, the Lafayettes.
Yeah, well, my friend Michael Morris that played bass, he played with some group, I can't think of the name of the group, was kind of like Riff Raff. We used to play Prime and Tender too, that was another place.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Right,
I remember that place.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
And you asked the best advice that I could give another blues
Yeah, what's the
musician.
best advice you could give to a young person that wants to get into the blues and make a career out of it?
First of all, on your instruments, you gotta master that first before you can do anything else, and you gotta be serious about doing it. And you practice makes perfect. And the best thing you do, you gotta be on time, have a good attitude,
Sorry.
and be humble in the business. And I find out, even if you find that musicians that are not as good as you, and you hear them, never criticize them. Always say to me, "You sound real good." You know, it inspires them more when they hear something from a professional musician. Man, he said, "I see it sound good." It's gonna make him work much harder to get advanced. You know, I never criticize musicians, even if they sound bad. It's not to do that. You want to hurt. That happened to me. I'm gonna tell you, when I used to go jam, used to be Peppers, used to be on the corner from Checkerboard. When I first started playing drums, I used to go Lonnie Brooks, he played the Avenue Club, and also Mighty Joe Young, the drummer was my friend, and they played on 39th Street. I used to stand behind the stage and watch him play. And so I went to a jam session, and I was playing the wrong beat. And they came down and took me off the stage, and man, it really hurt my feelings.
I bet.
And they came down and took me off the middle of the song. But see, they didn't know I could read music. So I got really pissed off. And I said, when I seen Billy Cobham with Mahavishnu Orchestra, he was the first black drummer I seen. He's from Panama, but I thought he was black and never seen a drummer play double bass drums. So what I did, I was the first drummer on the blues set that played double bass drums.
Really?
Because there wasn't nobody else doing that. So I got it from Billy Cobham. So I had a mismatch set. I went to school, the Frank Drum Shop, learned how to read the whole set because I already could read one drum. So I said, I'm going to fix all these cats. So I went and bought me 2 bass drums. I had 4 tom-toms. I had 2 floor toms. Went in the wood shed. Then I came back out. Then all them people that was criticized, because Jimmy Johnson had said, used to have the word I meant, I couldn't play drums. But I fixed them. When I came out with the double bass drum, all the drummers coming and checking me out.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and you go back to the Scott brothers, and you go to Rico McFarlane. His uncle, I used to play with his uncle when he was a little boy, or the blues boy white. Well, he was a little bitty boy. And I was playing Dave, and he always said Merle Perkins is the first cat. Scott Brothers said that's the first cat that played double bass drums. Everybody know I was the first guy. And then they brought out the double foot pedals. You know, I had to carry that on the bass drum, but I could already play them.
How cool.
So now all these back there, all the drummers playing in double pedals. But I started that. Junior Wells didn't like them. Buddy didn't say nothing about them. And I played with Eddie Clearwater for a year. Then nobody, he didn't say nothing about them. And then until 2 of the guys, I won't name it, and the man said something to him, they didn't like him, the bass player and the guitar player. And Eddie came up on stage, we was in Syracuse, New York at the Dynasty Club. And I was wondering why he was standing behind me on the stage, and then he and his wife, you know, Renee, you know her, they came and said, well, man, you know, we don't want you to play in those double pedals. If you don't stop them, we're going to get another drummer.
Really?
Yeah, they're fine. And so I said, well, y'all go ahead and get another drummer. I said, man, this is me. And this is what I've been doing. This is my style of playing, double bass drum. But they didn't fire me because I was with him for 11 years. And one time, I quit on him one time, and he come to me trying to play a shovel. He came up on stage. You know, I don't master a shovel. People come and ask me how to play a shovel, you know, and I got real good. I said, man, you find another drummer. You know, like, tomorrow I pay the money I owe you. Then the next night, when we played at Saturday, we was playing Blue Chicago, he said, I don't want you to quit. He said, man, I'm not going to find another drummer like you. He said, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do nothing like that. So I played with him. I mean, Heather came up here, moved from Florida and played with Eddie Clearwater. She was in Eddie Clearwater band, and he was supposed to pick it up, but I wound up picking it up. And I ain't going to even say that.
I think that your advice for young people was good advice. Do you have any gigs that you want to mention at this time? I know you're going out of the country next week.
Yeah, man, I'm going to the Philippines. Like, I mean, I've been in the world. I think if a person haven't lived a life if they haven't seen some parts of this big world. And you know, there's some people that works 9 to 5 and they go vacation and they'll go somewhere. But when they're a musician, that's a opportunity that you have traveling all over the world, man.
That's fantastic.
I couldn't have never done that having a 9 to 5 job.
Sure.
You meet all kinds of different nationalities, you know, different cities that have stuff that you've never seen before.
Sure.
You know,
it's really important to get around. It's really important to get out there and see what the world has to offer.
You know, Italy, I mean, I went to a place in Italy, I never seen they had in a glass case of the Viking days. I didn't, you know, you see Viking pictures of an outfit and a sword that was all rotted out in this glass case. That was really happening back in the day.
Sure.
That's very true. You know, so There's a lot of things that's a little different from the United States. United States, they kind of like tear everything down, but in Europe, they don't do that.
No, they preserve everything.
They preserved everything, history there.
Sure, sure. So you're going to be going to the Philippines for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you have any gigs scheduled for when you return?
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right.
Now, I know somebody called me, and actually, they had a gig to do on the 22nd, but I ain't going to be here.
Oh, I see.
I used to play with the Patio Daddy-O's.
Well, if someone in our audience was interested in retaining your services for a party, a wedding, a circumcision, a christening, a bar mitzvah, a corporate affair, or something along those lines, are you available for those?
Yeah, I was looking for that gig. Actually, Frank played with a band that's from Waukegan called, what was the name of that band called? Something about
House in the Shade.
House in the Shade. There was a horn band. Okay, they had a drummer that from Milwaukee. He was in drum corps. We talked drum corps talk. He was a really good singer.
Really
But his timing, he would speed up and slow down. So like when I sit in with him, you know, I play with him, and then sometimes we play this place called the Winery in Lake Geneva.
Okay.
That guitar player came up to me and said, "Would you come to Waukegan and play with us?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'll come to Waukegan and play with you. Yeah, you know, I go anywhere if the pay's right."
Sure.
Yeah, you know, so the guy that owns the winery, he really likes the way I played. I did gig private parties back in the summertime, and he paid good, showed my CDs. They really like the way I play, you know, like I can, you know, like a lot of drummers today, young drummers, they play the gospel chops. I mean, that's all good. They sound good, but they also, if you heard one, you heard all of them. And gospel chops is not, you can't play all that in music. When you playing with a unit, a drummer's got to play because he's the heartbeat of a band.
Sure.
So man, you can't be playing a lot of garbage. You got to respect whoever's singing up front or whoever's playing a solo. You got to lay the pocket down. I can play a lot of stuff. I know a lot of stuff, but what people don't like about me, they like my backbeat. I got that smack, that backbeat, because that drum corps, that snap, crackle, and pop, and that foot.
Sure.
It's the main foundation. And I went to clinic to see Dennis Chambers. Very nice brother, played with the Funkadelic Parliaments, George Clinton. And we went to his dressing room, we talked with him, and he told me, he said, man, he said, all that stuff you hear me playing when I'm playing the songs, he said, that's just icing on the cake. But he said, what I really like is the pocket.
Look at that. Look at that.
Is the pocket. That's the most important thing about a band, is playing the pocket. Now that you playing fusion music, then you got arrangements for that just like them. I said they sound very good, very powerful, very professional sound. Drummer, they play the music. They play the unit. And that's the way music's supposed to be, man. You know, you shine when it's your time to shine.
Sure.
You know, when they say it's going to do drum or something, that's when you shine.
There you go. There you go. Well, if people wanted to contact you about hiring you for a gig, how would they go about doing that?
Just call me if the money's right. If the money, actually, it's a guy from France. Now, he wanted to hire me. He said, way last year, he was coming to the United States, and he said, I got to have a super musician. I said, you talking to one.
That's right.
So, he didn't call me, but then as he's been looking at my Facebook page and seeing everything on me, he contacted me and said, I want to play with you, and I want to come to Chicago. I really want to play with you. He's from somewhere in Italy.
Okay.
And I looked at his show. He's been on TV shows and stuff like that. And he's just a singer up front. He's just doing blues, regular blues. All the songs he do, I know. He said, man, I really want to play with you. I say, he said, imagine. I say, if the pay is right, you got it, man. And he said, well, we'll see what we can do.
Well, how do they contact you? How do people contact you to hire you?
Facebook.
Facebook.
They call me Facebook, and then you can ask for my number.
This Merle Perkins?
Yeah, I'm on the Merle Perkins.
Okay.
On Facebook. I've been on there ever since Facebook has been out.
All right. Okay.
And I got gigs from people contacted me.
So there's a message place on your Facebook page.
Well, all Facebook have a chat.
Right.
You know, some people try to get me to get Messenger, but you know, I don't really like the technology. I have a microphone, and I want to do that. You can chat. If you want to talk to me, it's chat right there.
Sure.
Well, I don't need nothing special to talk. Just like smartphones. Man, I don't deal with smartphones. Man, what's the point of that? I'm old-fashioned. My phone, you see, this is a government phone. All they do, I make phone calls and people call me.
That's all you need.
Microsoft text me. I didn't know it even had text on it. It's got text on it, but I don't know nothing about texting, man. I don't understand. I got a desktop computer at home, and that's enough.
Sure. Well, thank you so very much for appearing in a nutshell. And I would ask you if you could please lay a couple of tunes on us.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Well, I don't think the... 1, need you, baby.
Nina, Nina, Nina.